I'm feeling low.
Hey everybody, hope you're well, and it's James here with the Part-Time Entrepreneur and Crypto Rookies, and today we're going to have a look at the ICO review for FARMATRUST. So what is FARMATRUST? Now, it's using blockchain and artificial intelligence to save lives and create efficiencies. Now, I've heard a lot of YouTubers say that, but what the fuck does it mean? Now, I'll try and break it down for you. Basically, these guys are trying to take the blockchain and use it in such a way that they can trace products from start to finish, so you know it's the real article. And I'll give you a little humorous example where you might relate to this. So you've got Mr. Pele and Mrs. Pele, and they're in bed, and Mrs. Pele turns to Pele and goes, "Hey, you want to score tonight, big boy?" And he goes, "Oh, I can't, I've not got me old Viagra's." So he gets online, and he wants to buy Viagra's online. He wants the real deal because he wants to score with Mrs. Pele, and he can't go in not scoring. So he orders them online. So obviously it's made at the manufacturer, it's all traced, it's put on the blockchain, it then goes to distribution, it's logged on the blockchain, it goes to online retail, it's logged on the blockchain. Pele can order it online, it arrives at his house, take his mobile phone, he's probably sponsored by Samsung or iPhone, scans it, says, "Yep, Pele, this is the real deal." He's like, "Yes, I'm going to score with Mrs. Pele," and all good. Now, if he'd got some counterfeit drugs, he would have thought he's going to score with Mrs. Pele. He gets in the bedroom, and it's no goal. And that's probably the easiest way I can explain it to you. So what are some of the key problems? Well, the first one is that if we look at like the total global population, if we look at the more developing countries, that we can see, it's roughly around 1% of counterfeit drugs that get through. I think probably because there's more stringent processes, etc. But as you start to look at more developing countries, those percentages are way up to the 20 and 30%. Now, it's obviously within some of these countries, these are the real places that they need these anti-malarial, whatever it might be, to obviously help and save those people. And they're just not getting those medicines through, and they're fake. Therefore, even if they do get them, they're doing nothing anyway. And this is a huge, huge problem. And then I looked, did a little bit of deeper research. I didn't just take it face value on the white paper. I started doing some loads of other searches. BBC. Pretty much every single news channel has covered it in terms of how bad the counterfeit drugs are. There's a whole bunch of drugs that went into Africa that were just completely fake. And these poor people are taking these drugs that will have no impact, no effect. If anything, will probably cause more damage. And they'll think they're protected, and they'll go out and they'll get bitten or whatever it is, and they'll end up dying. Which is just crazy in this world. We should be all helping each other, not trying to fuck each other over, basically. So there's just a few articles, but what I want to do is really detail what are the bigger problems. Obviously, I've had to do a lot of wider research here. Counterfeit drugs, especially in developing countries, accounts for about 30%, which is just huge. It accounts for about $200 billion. And all of this money is going to, obviously, forgers, fakers, gangs, and all those types of people. So, obviously, the people that are making these shit drugs. Then, anywhere between 100,000 to 1 million people are dying each year because of these fake drugs, which is just, it's just crazy. This should not be happening. Again, there's some other issues. Expired drugs and poor storage accounts for nearly $12 billion. So there's a lot of simple fixes, like just generic fixes that could be made, and there's also some what I call the humanistic fixes that definitely need to be implemented. So 97% of online sellers are not legit, which is crazy. It really is crazy. I never would have thought the numbers were that high. 6 out of 10 drugs bought online are fake. Which is, again, when you start thinking about it, you're like, wow, this is a real big problem. 64% of all the anti-malarial drugs that went into Nigeria were also fake. Now, these poor people are waiting for these drugs, which are life-saving drugs, and they turn up and they're fake, and they'll have absolutely no impact. And I review lots of different things, like, how you're going to get cheaper payments, how you're going to get cheaper shopping. There's a whole bunch of ICO reviews that I've done, but actually being able to save people's lives is a completely new kettle of fish for me. As you can see, I'm getting quite passionate about this. When I was doing the research, I just couldn't believe how bad the problems were. And in China, 60,000 people that were arrested. Again, I think that was about 2013. For producing fake drugs. So China is a huge contributor to fake drugs, as well as fake Armani and all the other things that we know China are good for. So what is the solution that they're coming up with? Well, first of all, they've created their own bespoke platform called Zoe. And obviously that will keep immutable records, as we know the blockchain can. It'll also be compatible with other systems. So again, not much detail in the white paper about how that will work. We know that there are other projects happening which will be able to bring different blockchains together, like Aeon and stuff like that. So I don't see that being a problem in the future, because all of these third generation projects are already running to be able to facilitate that happening. There'll be artificial intelligence, so I'll do the data analysis, and then that will help create the efficiencies. And then obviously the final piece, which is globally scalable. So they can take this product, they can then take it across the world, and they will be able to track from start to finish of where your drugs have come from. So the other thing, they'll be able to reduce supply chain costs. And we know that blockchain is absolutely perfect in this scenario. The biggest thing is obviously reducing the counterfeits. And this is massive, because 30% is just totally unacceptable. When I started reading all the data and stuff like that, I was thinking, how has this even happened? And how have we let it go to this sort of rate? And, you know, you look at the more richer countries, the Europes, the Americas, you know, it's 1%. We've obviously got more stringent import-export, all the rest of it. But as you get into the more poorer countries where, you know, people are taking advantage, and they really shouldn't. That's like, it's just so wrong, really, in my eyes. But again, it protects the end consumer. So first of all, one, the end consumer doesn't get a fake product. And actually, if they are, you know, they're in a high risk area where there's malaria, they actually get the treatment or protection that they need from the drugs that are coming, instead of thinking they are and then end up losing family members and stuff like that, which is just horrific. So how does this all work? Well, obviously, the manufacturer will create the drugs, pack the drugs, etc. FARMATRUST will create an API which generates a blockchain transaction. Then, as it goes through the distribution network, the packets are scanned with the FARMATRUST app. So that's like as part of the system, people can use the app and they can trace everything as it's coming through. Now, obviously, you might go to an online pharmacy, or you might go to a hospital or a doctor's or something like that, or a surgery. Again, it creates a transaction on the blockchain to measure and track where that product has gone. So by the time you get that packet of Viagra Pele, you'll be able to scan it and see, yeah, it is. And you can trace the journey. So you know that it's 100% legit by the time that it gets to you. So here's the roadmap. If you want to look at the full one, then you can just go onto their white paper. But as you can see, you know, they've got all the different elements covered as we go through sort of like the next year or so. The web app development, the alpha and beta testing, all the usual stuff that you would expect. I'm not going to go into that too much detail. But the key date to really focus on here is that Zoe won't be released into production until at least 2019 in April. Now, I always add on or factor in at least a couple of months, because there's always hiccups and bits of regulation or something that always crops up. So in my mind, I'm thinking probably June 2019. So for me, this is definitely a long-term hold. Now, their marketing hasn't been massive. I really come across these by accident. Started looking into them, then actually seeing a fellow other YouTuber do a video on them, and then as I was researching, and then in another group and someone else had done a load of research on it, and that really got me to do a deep dive on this one, because obviously I don't review just any old ICO on the channel. But the big thing is that they've only sold 2% of tokens, which is really bizarre in the sense that of what this project is trying to achieve. You know, it's not about just saving money, it's about saving lives. And that's what really got me interested in it. And again, like, I do quite passionately believe in charities and stuff, because we give most of the money from our channel to charities and stuff. And when I look at this project, I just can't understand, one, why it's not gone further, and one, why people haven't invested in it. So when we look at the team, the one guy that really sticks out is David Allen Cohen, and obviously he's internationally renowned in blockchain. You know, Hashgraph, again, very good technology. WePower, very good ICO that happened quite recently, and a few others as well. So, you know, he really does know his stuff, and he's not like other people like David Drake that just haul themselves out to any old project that's going. Then you've got Raja Sharif. So he's on the board of several different US and European companies. And one of the key sort of, I would say, experiences that this guy brings is that he's got loads and loads of experience in new startups. So again, getting companies off the floor, getting them to a great place. So they've also got a patent application filed in 2016, and this is obviously for their Zoe system. So obviously it's quite unique, and they're also painting it. So obviously if people want to use it, they have to pay them some do-re-mi, and I don't blame them because the project sounds quite good. So if we have a quick look at the website, it looks quite nice. It's very clean cut. You've got a nice little video.
Counterfeit drugs are a modern-day problem.
To talk about some key points: supply chain, cost efficiency, bringing the price of drugs down, and also making sure people get the right types of drugs. You can have a look, you can download the white paper and have a look at that in a minute. So if you wanted to have a look at the roadmap from start to finish, then you can have a look here. So you've also got the team here as well. You've got Lord Anthony St. John of Blestow, wherever that is. But he's got like great experience. I mean, he is on the House of Lords, and he looks specifically at artificial intelligence here, and he has a huge interest in the cybersecurity area as well. So again, really good guy that they have on the team. So the other guy, Shanawaz Aziz, and he has a plethora of experience over 21 years across many different industries regarding IT and systems. So again, another very good guy on the team. So here's the white paper, and probably my feedback would be is that they really tell you about what they're trying to do and what the problem is. So they cover that in quite some detail. They also sort of tell you, you know, how good they're going to make this and what the things that they can do. And really where it sort of lacks a little bit is how it works and how it will really, how they're going to implement all of these technologies. Like, how are you going to make it interlinked with all these different other blockchains? So I have an idea how they might do it through things like Aeon or whatever, but it's not really explained in here. So the question would be, is it something they've just put in hoping that the technology gets better and it will be able to do that? Or they're really confident and they know their stuff, but it's not really, there's nothing in here which tells me that. Also, one unique thing with these guys is that once a token is used and it gets to the end of its journey, it's burnt, but then they have a minting process which will create more tokens. So yeah, their TDE plan, I think, just complicated things a little bit. I had to read it quite a few times to understand, you know, the 200 million tokens and you get 20% discount. Of whichever comes first, 15th of March. But that was just a little confusing maybe, especially if you're new to ICOs, which a lot of people are. So I think they could have just made this a little bit simpler, maybe done a little bit of a chart or something, which just explains timelines and stuff like that. So, and then you've got a little back office where, you know, when you buy your tokens, as you can see, I quite haven't bought yet, but we can see it's just moved over 2%. Now the other day when I looked, it was about 1.6% when I was doing the research, so I can start to see this ticking forward. You can buy tokens here, so you can Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, Bitcoin Cash, Dash, so there's lots of different ways that you can buy with this ICO. There's quite a few competitors out there, so if we look in sort of the supply chain area, you've got Wabi, VeChain, Walton, but the two big ones I would pick out for these guys is Ambrosius, who are focusing on medical and like sort of grocery in a sense, and Modem as well. So there are some, it's quite heavy on competitors in this area, but blockchain and supply chain really are the perfect partners. For the token sale, roughly about 8 cents a token based on Ethereum price as it is today, 20% discount on the first 200 million tokens. The ICO is actually live right now. And it will finish on the 28th of March, but for your discounts, you need to get in before the 15th of March. They've got a target of 36 million, and I think at the moment they're roughly around the 1.4 million mark. So the first one is that this is very competitor heavy. Now we know that the perfect marriage of blockchain and supply chain is just absolutely perfect, but a lot of people are pouncing on this now in pretty much every single domain. You know, is it that there's one total big blockchain, or is there specific ones? I don't know how this will work long term, but it'd be interesting to see how this plays out. Also, there's bits in the white paper, the TDE, I just felt it was just a little unclear, and the white paper itself was just a little bit of a hard read versus maybe some others that I've read. Obviously, I was able to get the information out to do this review. I think as well in that particular industry, adoption of new concepts is quite a hard thing, and hopefully they will be able to, because of the actual impacts that this will have. The other thing is the ICO isn't going too well at the moment, and that's a bit of a worry, because obviously you want the project to do well, but currently I think it really comes down to their marketing and marketing strategy. I think they do need to partner up with some good guys and really help to get their project motoring. Saving lives obviously number one, and you've seen from the statistics that, you know, there is a real problem that needs fixing here, and it just doesn't make things faster, quicker and save you money. It actually saves lives. There is a pure focus on the pharmaceutical side of things, so that really gives them a little bit of a leading edge, I think, in terms of, you know, how they pull this project together and how they make it bespoke to the pharmaceutical industry to really solve those issues. They seem to have quite an experienced board and an experienced team as well, which is good to see, and really some key partners to be able to help get this rocking and rolling. They have their unique system, and they also have a patent on it as well. So this gets a 6.8 out of 10. Now, this is a little bit lower than most scores that I've given out recently, but I want to try and explain why. So I think it's a good project. I think they've got a good team. They obviously got a bespoke product that they can roll this out. You know, we do a lot of stuff, charity stuff on this channel, so you know that's a big thing for me, really big thing. But the big worries is that the white paper isn't really in much detail. There's parts of it that are a little bit confusing for the ICO, which maybe scare people off. So maybe that's why people haven't invested. Their marketing seems a little bit weak. Hence, you know, people won't come in. So if these guys don't get a certain amount of money, I'm sure the project won't even take off. And I do want to see this project take off. And I suppose the other big question mark is this. Like, we see loads of other ICOs out there, and I review a lot, and they're bobbins, basically. This seems like a genuinely good project, but no one's buying into it. So have I just found an absolute gem, or have I completely missed something that everybody else has seen? Now, I review a lot of ICOs, I invest in a lot of ICOs, and I have a very good track record in ICOs, and I can't find the problem at the moment. The things that really stick out is, like I said, the marketing piece, and they've not really got themselves out there. So I really do think that these guys need to work with key partnerships to get their message and their vision out to people so they can see what these guys have. And I just want to give a big shout out to Simon and my ICO research group, who have been helping me recently to do even more and better research for these ICOs. As always, guys, I hope you like this review. Please hit the like and subscribe button. And you can find me over at either Crypto Rookies or the Cryptocurrency Community Group on Facebook, or you can follow me on Twitter at JamesPaul_UK or at Crypto Rookies. Okay, guys, I'll catch you on the next video.
I'm feeling low.